Hey y'all. Happy Tuesday. The first Timeout Tuesday in 2 weeks that I've been able to attend because life has been lifing. I'm so excited to hang out with y'all tonight. And I think we have a lot to talk about. I think that there's been a lot going on since we last sat down together, and we just need to catch up. And I know that people get busy. I like guilty. I've been extremely busy, but holy moly, I feel like I didn't make a list, but I feel like I should have made a list to be able to like make sure I cover everything today because so much is going on. Hey, Facebook. Good to see you. I'm pushing things a little bit further away because I feel like my head is very large right now, and that you could see a lot of things up close that I don't want to be on your big screens. Oh my goodness. So much has happened that I'm sitting here trying to like think of where do I even start. And I guess let's start with a cocktail. So that way we can be in true Timeout Tuesday fashion. Now, I walked out to the bar area in the shop and just started grabbing things. Someone sent me these little nuggets of happiness. These are coconut pineapple flavored sparkling water, 0 sugar, 0 calorie. Oh no, it is 5 calories. Okay. And then I was like, coconut, great. I'll grab some coconut rum. And then I was like, oh, but I would love some, like a little bit of other fruit in there. So then I've never had this before, but we have something on the bar called razzmatazz that someone sent. And well, we're fixing us a cocktail tonight, y'all. So I'm going to start with a little rum. This might be not as cool as I think it is because this is clear and that's yellow, but I don't know if this is colored or not. And I was like, oh, maybe I could make it like a little sunsetty look. No idea if that's the case. But after everything that's been going down, I have been looking forward to this moment, not only to hang out with you, but because a cocktail sounds pretty good. Okay. Uneventful, clear plus yellow, right? Like, okay, probably tastes good, but not beautiful. Hopefully this is red. Hopefully it didn't fall into the whole like red dye is bad for you because, well, I've been drinking it my whole life. What could a few more years be? Okay. Maybe it's red. It's purple. And the drink is brown. I don't care. We're going with it, okay? We're rolling with it. It looks good. Raspberry, coconut, and pineapple. All I know is cheers to Timeout Tuesday. Like our first real Timeout Tuesday in so long. So long. That's a good drink. That's a really good drink. It's very light. It's not, you can't taste any alcohol, which turns out to be crazy. Yeah, it tastes very light and refreshing, and while a little brownish, we're gonna roll with it because why not? Okay. So obviously I am stoked, like crazy stoked to talk about my storm. If you watched the video today, I utilized the Sound of Silence challenge to reveal the news that I waited forever for. And part of that forever was 4th of July holiday. So offices were closed that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then we had a dang hurricane and no power for a week. So I was like pacing. Meanwhile, I refrained from bugging Dr. Cochran. Like everybody in the Houston area had life, just lifing like wild. And I held out until Friday afternoon and was just like, hey, I don't know if y'all have power or not, but when you do, will you be able to log in and see if those results are back? And she did not, and the office did not. But she made a call to one of the ladies who had remote access and had power and internet somewhere else, like not in Houston. Like there are some satellite clinics in that network. How sweet is that? To be able to call me with the news. And then she didn't text him to me right away. She called me back and goes, I cannot believe that I'm telling you this. And I was like, I was right. And she goes, yeah, your horse is pregnant, like a lot pregnant. And you were absolutely right. She goes, you have a good eye and good intuition. And then she texted me a picture of the test results and like, I don't think that most people believed me. She didn't believe me. Dr. Cochran's like, I don't think that's what's going on. And so many people didn't believe me. But I knew. She told me. And for people who watched the video of the blink twice thing, both with Annie and and Storm, are probably like, oh, whatever. I'm telling you, I knew. And now, we don't know a lot of details, and I'm going to talk about that at the same moment. But when Dr. Cochran was telling me this, like, I'm processing and I'm sitting in my office, and it is mayhem at that moment as well. Lester's trying to cook for Lex and Connor, who have just woke up, and it's evening time. He's cooking bacon. The smoke detector's going off. Cash and Carter are slinging the door open because they're ready for a bath. And I have tears streaming down my face because I'm so emotional and excited about it and like flabbergasted, the whole bit. And it is like chaos. And it was one of those moments in time where like everything, all of that chaos just like drowned out because I was so excited for the news that I just got. And it's really weird because this is my horse. This is not like me or like it's very bizarre because this is the first time in an animal that I have felt this kind of emotion about it, and it's completely unplanned. Storm came to me because her owner died and she was willed to me. She got here November 16th. I had never heard of her before. Nothing. I had no connection to her, and her owner watched the channel. So when her daughter reached out and said that, I thought it was a joke at first. And we made arrangements. I went and met her very briefly to make sure that this was real and not a scam. And then she came to me. Now, I don't know her story before. So as soon as Dr. Cochran hung up with me and sent me those messages, of course, Bree was here, and I told Bree, and Bree was just as excited as I was. And then I kind of sat on it for a minute, and because all of a sudden it became scary because I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know when this is going to happen. The test doesn't tell you that exactly. And I don't know who Dad is. I don't know what Dad is, because that's a real question, obviously. And I just started running through my head of like all of the what ifs and the things that must be done. And then somewhat panicking about like, how much time do I have? So after I've like pulled my life together and did a little bit more research and spent Friday night on both YouTube and messaging Courtney and Ashley, a few other horse people, and really spent a lot of time watching Katie Van Slyke, to be really real with y'all. I pulled myself together and started to think through things. I also messaged the daughter. And the only thing that we know is that Storm received some training roughly a year ago, and that there were other studs on the property at the place that she was boarded, but no one thought that she had any dates. I'll just use dates. But lo and behold, she had at least one date with someone. So we have a baby on the way. within the next 30 days, we know that based on her, like the number that they do, it's called a, hold on a second, an estrone level. Serum estrone, I think, is what it is. Let me make sure I'm right. Estrone sulfate, and it is run from serum. And based on her number, we know that she's within 30 days of what they call foaling or giving birth, which is exciting and terrifying all at the same time. I know that there is much to do, and every minute of the day has been thinking about and strategizing. And I even had Courtney come out today to see all the things to help me make some determinations on what I'm seeing, because there's physical things on Storm, and then there's other like just demeanor things that you have to pay attention to as well. But we know we're within 30 days. Could be as soon as today, could be 30 days. It's just wild to like process all that. People plan for like people like Katie Vance, like they breed intentionally. They have ultrasounds to confirm pregnancies. They can even find out sex and they really stop. They can do so many things because that's what they do. Lester and Jamie don't have those capabilities. Even Dr. Cochran doesn't have the tools or capabilities to be able to do that. And we're at a window now where hauling or changing things is an induction of stress, which is nothing that we want to do. So we are in the wait and see phase, and we're going to do our best to prepare and support. It's so surreal and exciting. And then Millie, can you excuse me for 1 second while I skirt my dogs out? Don't leave. We're not done talking about this yet. Millie, come on. Let's open the door. It's just Stella knocking at the door. Come on, Stella. Sorry about that. Millie didn't want to go out. She just wanted me to let Stella in. You know, minor dog details. The next thing that's going to happen is Fiona's out there by herself, and she's going to come and bark as well. So I did message the lady. I did get a picture of the one potential stud, but obviously when she went to training, who knows what she was exposed to during that time. So it's going to be interesting. If it is the stud, I'll show you a picture. The stud that was on the same grounds. Hold on. Hold on. That is what he looks like. Now, there is always a possibility that at training, could it have been a donkey? Could it have been a zebra? Could it have been a pony? Yeah. I mean, it's a baby and we're going to love it. And Storm is going to be a mama, is a mama. And it is what it is. It's going to be an interesting transition, learning experience, all of those things. And I'm trying really, 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 really hard to pay attention to all of the demeanor changes and to be able to call them out so I can ask for help with what do I do. Obviously, they're in one giant pasture all together, and there are things that I have concerns about and worries about, but then also feel like they're a herd, a very cohesive herd who has been together for some time now. and they know each other well. And I have to consider that they're animals and instincts, and I have to be able to trust them as well. And we have so much to like what if about, and I'm the queen of overthinking and have been in that space for several days now. And initially I was like, I'm concerned about Rita. You know, Rita is like her sister, daughter, cousin, friend. Like, she panics when she isn't near Rita. But I also know that Rita wants to be over someone. So there's going to have to be something at some point in time to be able to give Storm space. And I have to be able to create that and make that happen in a very quick fashion when it does happen. And I think it's got to be that I have to remove Rita from the space versus trying to put Storm in somewhere different. So I have a lot to think about, and have asked Courtney for advice. And I know that Lester's reaching out to Rick to see if he has any. But overall, you know, I'm watching them as a herd, and I'm watching Storm kind of guide them on how and what. I have learned that that the mares will go find a place about 2 weeks out, and will like pace it, scope it out, sleep in it, and make it theirs. But it's got to be their choice. And a lot of people will start putting their mares in that pasture that they would be in much sooner than the window that we have. So I tried something the other night and failed. I made a video about it before I got really deep into this and realized how much stress would impact, and also how much the Rita connection is so important to her. And it's like Rita's her midwife, even though Rita is not a midwife, okay? It's going to be a tough little juggle to handle, and we're going to have to really watch Rita. But I also feel like that the rest of the herd is going to help through this. And I have no concerns about Voodoo, about Bucky's, or Ivy with this baby. It's Rita. It's Rita because Storm has been Rita's mother, sister, cousin, friend throughout this entire time that they've been together. And I really hope, like, I have this hope, and Lester calls it like a Disneyland view of Rita just being there to support, and Storm being able to control Rita too. But if something happens to Storm, like let's say that she's in distress or she's really worn out, we just don't want that to be Rita's window, because Rita has come a long way. She has come a very, very long way. But there's still these herd dynamics, and Rita's still very young and a kid, and there's probably going to be a little bit of jealousy that's involved with this as well. So I have to be just really thoughtful and attentive to this. And we believe it is too late to move them to Longhorn Lester's. So that's out. But in reality, if I was moving Storm, I would have to move Rita anyway, and I would still have to come up with a greater plan, and the separation still could be the stress. Like, all of this is so hard for this person who loves horses but wouldn't consider herself a horse girl at this point in time. So I have some video that I captured today that was really powerful, and I'll play that later this week. But I also feel like I'm looking at the cows and the things that happened this weekend. And Lester and I were really concerned about having to intervene with Dolly and how the heck we were going to do that. And all of a sudden it fixed itself. And thinking about how cows and longhorns treat each other and their herd whenever one is laboring, how they go off. Nature has a way. I want to trust that nature has a way with these horses too. I think that what I would like to do is, if I see that Storm is going to go into labor, I would like to put Rita in the pasture right next door to her so she can still see her, smell her, all of those things, but that she's just not able to walk up on, like directly on top of. I think that's what I'm going to do. I do have the round pen panels over at the JL Ranch. We brought them over a while back. I was going to use them to make stalls for just caring for them and being able to feed them separately, groom them separately. But now I'm going to make them a makeshift area, probably underneath the barn with some shade. I may even incorporate the cattle chute as well, because it does have a shelter in it, has water in it, all of those things. So there's two phases to this. Obviously, it's the actual laboring, birthing moment, and then we have time afterwards that it's going to have to be probably separate for a little bit. I don't know. I'm basically moving to the JL Ranch, I guess. For a while, little not anticipated, but that's kind of what I think is going to happen. It could all change. All of those plans could absolutely change, but I'm just trying to think of all the possibilities. That's how my brain works, of the what ifs. But like Bucky's and Voodoo and Ivy are really their own three. They'll step in and protect and do all those things if they need to, but they are not, they're kind of the seniors, and they don't have that, they're already on top, and whatever happens below them just happens below them. They're not going to let anybody come in and hurt anybody. They're going to protect their herd. So I'm not concerned about that. But Rita is a concern, and we're not getting rid of Rita. I'm not moving her back to the sanctuary. I can't take Rita away from Storm. So there's a dynamic there that's, pretty important. So hence the drink. I watched Courtney and Ashley at Twisted Tear rescue a bunch of babies this week, and the babies that they've rescued absolutely needed rescuing, and there's a lot going on over there. I want to go up and meet them, and kind of get a feel for what I should be doing, but I'm also scared to leave. I don't want to miss this at all, and I feel like this has made me even more tied and bound. And I want to be able to be there should she need it. However, I also know that I need some education on some of this. But one of the biggest intrigues that I have is most of them are born with pretty long hair. And they eventually lose that hair and totally change colors. So I think that I'm going to be relentlessly guessing who dad is or what dad looked like and all kinds of things throughout this whole process. It's really wild though, because I think back to my birth of Xander, and I was 20 years old and I wasn't this nervous. Through the pregnancy, through all the ultrasounds, doctor's appointments, I did it, and I did it alone. Through birth, I never stressed as much as I'm stressing about my horse's birth and unplanned pregnancy and unknown pregnancy. And I don't know if it's because it's such a short term, she's pregnant and it's going to happen really soon or what, but I am nervous about how it will go, about I would like to say like about it because it's so unknown, but at 20 years old, I didn't know anything either. And it just all worked out. Were there hard times? Yeah, there were. There's a lot of unknown in that too, but I just did it. And now it is it's a little bit nerve-wracking to think about being responsible and trying to do the right thing. And that's where I start to like step back for a second and think, now hold on. Nature's pretty dang cool. And these things happen out in the wild all the time. And big ranches and other things, like if they're not breeding ranches, or like this just happens. Like I literally look at Grandpa and Daisy and Duke next door, who are living life on their own. They don't have a farrier come out every 4 weeks. They don't have a dentist every 6 months. They don't get fly sprayed on every day unless I'm the one doing it, which I don't see them every day. They don't even get grain every day. They don't get their supplement, like none of those things that I do for my horses. My horses get a bath every day. They get their hooves picked out. I'm treating them for thrush, or I'm brushing them. I'm, all of the things. And then I look at the other horses next door, and they look pretty dang content. And they look, pretty decent shape, all things considered. I'm pretty sure Daisy's pregnant as well. Don't know how she can't be. She's in a pasture with 2 intact males. So if she's old enough, that's probably going to happen. And she'll probably give birth without anyone ever knowing, or all of that. And here I am, like, stressing, sweating, debating on if I can take the time to go get my nails done, or if I can take the time to do all the things. And in reality, they don't need me for those pieces. And I have to take a little step back and say, like, it's going to be okay. And that nature is pretty dang amazing, and instincts and are incredible. And just the way that I figured out how to keep a baby boy alive at the age of 20 with very little at that time, and very little knowledge, no internet to go look things up, none of those things. It'll probably be just fine. So I'm trying to tell myself, like, less is more, and let's not overthink this or overcomplicate it if we can. So that's where I'm at. It's been a wild weekend, and that is like top of mind, very first thing that I wanted to share and talk through. And there's a lot of people who are like, oh my gosh, you have to name it this or name it that. I'm not going to pick out a name until I meet it. And I say it because I don't know if it's going to be a boy or a girl or anything about it. But we'll come up with a name at that time. I will tell you that I felt in my gut and in my heart 3 weeks ago already that this was the case. And when I made that video of like blink twice, it sealed the deal for me. And you're never going to believe it, but I did it with Lester's cows the other day too. And you're going to think that I'm nuts whenever you see that video as well. There's like so many beautiful, joyous things happening around that I have found myself like really trying hard to not let anyone steal that from me, because there's a lot going on in this world. And there's a lot of people who are fearful and are lashing out in so many ways, and are trying really hard to bring someone else down in that space. And I owe most of you an apology for really dashing out on Sunday. Like I on Sunday found myself in a space that I was getting defensive, and I was starting to feel mad, and all of these beautiful things are happening all around us, and all of the good things and the very real, tangible things in my life were happening. And I found myself being sort of drugged down by just a few people. But it was enough that I was like, I'm going to step away. I'm going to grant myself the permission to take a moment and not let anyone else steal that moment from me. So for everybody who didn't and who was so kind to reach out and send their well wishes and kind words to me, I appreciate it very much. And I'm sorry that you had to experience that moment, but I needed a breath. I feel like the last 2 weeks have been very, very hard. But if you really look at the last 90 days, even 60 days, it's been a whirlwind. The storms that hit late April, early May that led us to flooding and having to do the shuffle of animals and people, and then the cleanup of all that, and then the fear that brings into you, the getting our animals to another place, and then the repairs and the hope and praying that all of those repairs worked. And then really shuffling our animals to different places and adding so many things to our plate because of that shuffling. It was like on just, 10 of stress level. Then I had to have a follow-up procedure through all of that and try really hard to conceal and just move on with the stresses that come, from those things. Then, fast forward to 2 weeks ago, we find out there's a hurricane in the Gulf. And because of everything we went through in May, just watching and waiting. And I talked about this, that I'm from the Midwest. We get a 3-minute warning on hurricanes or on tornadoes, and they happen. And a minute later, it pretty much stops raining and the sun comes out, and you either got hit or you didn't, and there's no time to process it. But in a hurricane, 1 minute it's going to hit you, next minute it's not. It's going to bring you feet of rain, which you just went through horrible things in May and just paid an insane amount of money to be able to have something that you're saying and living on hope and a prayer that sticks, and then also have still not fully finished recovering at the other properties, and know that it impacts your family. And then it is going to come, and like, there's all these like creation model things that are like potential. And then it does come, and it's way worse than you ever imagined that it was going to be. And then the thing that happened after Beryl that I am still baffled by is that, yes, the power went out. But the power went out for so long and in so many different ways. And it also shut down communication. I had a work trip that was planned through that there was no way that I could not go to. I pretty much needed to be dead to not attend. And hey, get out of there. Excuse you. Stella, stop. And to think of leaving during all those times when you couldn't communicate back home, and you saw these gas lines. Like, I've never seen anything like this, to be real with you. Gas lines miles long. People that have no money for their gas for their cars or their generators, who have people on oxygen and babies and animals, and have no way to get water because they're on a well. Like, it was bad, really bad. And to have to leave during that time and get to the airport, where you're going to think this is crazy. When I pulled up to the airport, the Houston airport, there's no stop, the stoplights are out. There's no cell phone reception. And when you get into the airport, all the TVs are scrambled and all of the computer screens are scrambled because there's no internet there either. And lines are very long because you are getting paper tickets, and they're connected from like typing things into a computer and using like dial-up internet. It was scary because it was so quickly taken away. And that even though Lester and I felt pretty prepared to be able to take care of us, there's still a family of 40 people and not everybody can afford all of the things. And it was wild. And like I said, the stress level of leaving was intense. My boss felt the same way. He's like, I don't feel like I should be leaving. He had like 8 people sleeping at his house, strangers, neighbors, because they had a generator as well. I felt better to say that mine was at least family, not strangers. But it was like all of these things added up. And then knowing that there's people here while I was gone and not being able to help with all of the chores that came with it, and all of the neighbors around here and people that we also knew who we couldn't accommodate for, hoping to God that our generator was going to hold out because it still hadn't been serviced, and not being able to communicate like that turned out to be extremely terrifying, to not be able to send a message or call to check on how things are going, or to be able to call and get the propane refilled. There was no cell towers. And I don't know why I thought that was like, that part didn't cross my mind. I thought that power would go out and we would be okay, and it would be a couple days because it was a category 1 and it would be targeted areas. I didn't know it would be like hundreds of square miles and 3 million people. And it would, like, still today, there's many people that do not have power, 500,000 that still don't have power. And that it becomes so third world-ish. Even the evening that it happened, people were fist fighting over gas, and like all like human decency and morals went out the window, and it became about survival for some. And it was an eye-opener, I'll tell you that. And it will help me to be able to prepare in the future. And like I said, I can prepare as much as I want to for Lester and I, or even a certain amount of people that could make their way here. But I don't have the capability to prepare for 50 to 60 people, or the funds, or the capacity of place to stay, or anything like that. And then when people start to find out that you have resources, you become what they want to have or want to be a part of. And it's really like, you can't tell anybody no. So like, that really for me was like eye-opening and terrifying, because it was just a category 1 hurricane, and it was days, weeks, not months. And it was unbelievable. So we will take some lessons from that, but like, add all of that up, people being here. And then when I get back here, it's very crowded here. It's very hectic here. We have 2 boys who are living their very best summer life all night long, and I'm not getting any sleep. And then, and just like trying to be everything to everyone, bring fuel back for generators in Plum Grove, and make sure parents and other animals that were left there are taken care of, worrying about well water and the way generators are hooked up to make sure that if the power does come back on, that it doesn't blow circuits and things like that. And it was a lot. So on Saturday, when someone or Sunday, whatever day it was, got really nasty with me, I was like, I'm done. I'm taking a break for me, because I just felt myself not in a good place. And I know that most of you had nothing to do with that. And I owe you an apology for those circumstances. So I'm sorry, but I went ahead and took a break. It's crazy because I watched a variety of people handle the storm circumstances so many different ways. There are people who just embraced it, like, we don't have any power, let's go ahead and cook everything we have in our refrigerators, on our grills, or whatever the case is, before it rots, and spend some time in the shade and go with it. And there were other people who straight up panicked, and it was scary. And I feel like Lester and I did a really good job, but it was extremely hard to be farther away from family and not be able to communicate on what their needs were. And specifically, I'll say, Ellie is Lester's son. And if it was Xander in that circumstance or situation I couldn't get a hold of, while I would want to trust that he would be able to handle it all, I would still want to be able to offer all the resources and to help and to do all those things. And the same would go with my mom or my grandparents or my siblings. And that's what we did, was just want to be able to help. Like, we knew that we were okay and wanted to be able to help. So we did insert ourselves into some things to be able to contribute. Somebody says I ate all the ice cream in my freezer. That's awesome. It was an eye-opener. I'll just say that. I can't imagine what Category 5 feels like, because one felt like the tips of my trees were touching the ground, and I'm still picking up sticks. And I think I'll be picking up sticks for the next month. And then poor Buddy and Steph, to have that tree fall on their house and to be out of town, like, I know that was terrifying for them, and that their journey of repairs is just barely begun, and there's a long way ahead for them. We tried to joke about some of the circumstances and whatnot in my video about the water coming out of the chandelier, but at the end of the day, they have a big project ahead of them. That's a lot of damage, and it was a lot of moisture with no AC to help dehumidify it for several days. So they have a lot ahead of them as well. And it's okay to make light every once in a while, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of people around the Houston area that have a very long road ahead who still weren't recovered from the floods. And I think that probably, like, all combined is probably some of the feeling that a lot of people have. So anyway, so I mentioned that there were 2 babies born already, 2 cows born. Are they cows or heifers? How's that go? 2 female longhorns. One to Reba and one to Dolly. And Lester has some wonderful videos about that. And they're adorable and doing very well. I have a video. They're calves. Okay. So we have 2 new calves. I'll go with that. Thank you for the words. They were both female. I'm not revealing any of that. Lester already told everybody, so I'm not spilling any tea here. We have not named them just yet. We've talked about a few things, but that'll be coming up. And a lot of people have sent over quite a few ideas, so we appreciate that. Heifers, no baby. Cow has baby, but they would be calves because they're babies, right? Kind of like a foal is a baby, and then you have a colt or a filly. Is there a name for a female baby calf and a female or a male baby calf? I know, like, a bull calf you have, but like, I might have to educate myself on that. Yeah, heifer calves. Thanks, Jill. Oh my gosh. Jill sent me a message today, and at the same moment as I'm reading Jill's message, Jill and I grew up together. Jill is from Germantown, Illinois, the same place that I grew up. In fact, we shared a dirt road probably several times, and both of our brothers went to Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts together, and then later on in life, I'm pretty sure that her older brother dated my best friend Penny, like all the things. Anyway, Jill sends me a message today and says, "You will not believe what's happening back around home." And she sent me a message that there was a dam breach because of so much rain in Nashville, Illinois today that caused immediate emergent evacuation of a city, of a town, and then also flooding on the interstate and flooding in the towns that we were from because there was so much torrential rain. And as I'm reading that, my mom's also messaging me. Xander's calling me, FaceTiming me, and showing me videos and pictures. And I guess that I had all of this crazy experience down here and thought, never in my life. Never in my life. And then lo and behold, as I'm, processing all the things that have happened lately, if it doesn't happen exactly right there at home, and there is so much rain that happened today, there was just crazy flash flooding that has never happened. First of all, I didn't even know that Nashville, Illinois had a big enough lake to have it had two dams and both failed, and it flooded that town. And that is horrifically scary because again, I don't remember hearing of dam breaches ever until this year. The one that's in South Dakota, I think, is the first one I heard of. And now we have the Trinity down here who is being secretive about whatever the heck that they're doing. All of a sudden, for it to happen back home, I was mortified and terrified at the same time. Now, fortunately, it wasn't that big of a lake, but still, to think about all of the flash flooding that was happening there. You had buildings with a foot of rain in it and water in it. I know that it has since gone down, but still terrifying. So, Jill, thank you for being my news to back home. You beat my mother today on telling me, but in her defense, she was checking on my grandma. Oh my gosh, my grandma. Okay. My grandma has had some medical things lately. And when I talked to her last week, she told me that she was doing better. She was just resting and waiting for some other results and having to go get, blood work done, whatever. So today, when my mom calls, I'm like, have you heard from grandma? Is she okay through all of this? Because she lives alone still. And I remember as a kid one time, her her sump pump area backing up and the sewer backing up. And I remember having to go there with shop vacs and all the carpet was ruined in the basement, all those things. Mom goes, yeah, grandma's great. She pulled her car outside because it needed to be washed in this. What the heck, grandma? You don't have to. We can have someone wash your car for you. You don't have to go out in the middle of a storm to get it washed. Oh my gosh. But she was okay. And her car got very clean today from the rain. I'm sure of it. That crazy lady. I had these hopes and dreams of going to see grandma next week. So a couple things. Yesterday would have been my grandfather's 95th birthday, I believe. He passed away a few years ago, and this is the husband of the grandma I always talk to you about. Grandma is 90. She will be 91, and she is sharp as a tack and full of vinegar, and she'll tell you exactly like it is, without a doubt. She makes the meanest apple pie ever and the very best pot roast I've ever had in my life. And she has the same mixer that she's had since she got married, and it's my favorite. And she still hangs all of her wash on the line, and she grows a raised bed garden now because she doesn't travel out to the farm every day, but she is a very active 91-year-old. So it would have been her husband's birthday yesterday. So I was thinking of how could I incorporate that, also make a visit to come see her. And it is Grandma Marilyn, Jennifer. So somebody says vim and vinegar. Okay, we'll go with that. The last Tuesday of the month in Germantown, the last Tuesday of July in Germantown, Illinois, is their annual church picnic. And the church picnic serves the best fried chicken dinner I've ever had in my life, with homemade dressing, green beans that have fabulous bacon and onions cooked into it, mashed potatoes, gravy, corn. It used to be a $4 dinner. I have no idea what it is right now, but it is my favorite meal of the year. They also have a quilt bingo that you used to play for 25 cents. I imagine that's gone up as well. And really a whole lot of beer drinking on the church grounds and a lot of interactions. Jill says it's so good. Jill, it is so good. It is my most favorite meal, and I haven't had it in years. Before I found out Storm was pregnant, my plans were to go and take y'all to that Germantown church picnic. However, I don't think that I'm going to be able to go now, and I'm so sad about that. But if anybody is in the vicinity of Germantown, Illinois, Tuesday night is the St. Boniface church picnic. It's a fabulous time. It is the best dinner, probably the cheapest dinner that you're going to have. And the quilt bingo and the quilts are made by all the ladies of the church and in the community, including my grandmother. They're beautiful. And it is a very small town event, and it is really fun. So highly recommend that you go. It is a Tuesday night of all things in life. Most people have Wednesday off after the church picnic. It goes until about midnight. I think lunch or dinner starts at about 4:00. You can get carryouts or you can eat there typically. They also have like stands, hamburger stands and games for the kids. And it's not like a big carnival ride at all. It's usually like 5 or 6 games and a junk stand. And if you don't know what a junk stand is, it's where you go spend, when I was growing up, $1 to $5 to get something like disappearing ink, fart spray, those little guns that shoot the styrofoam ball that's attached to a string. The things that cost roughly like 17 cents and you paid $1 or $2 for it. I have no idea what's there now. The light up wands, like all those things. Lori, yes, please make me a small video of the church picnic. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of Germantown people watching this. It is a Catholic church, Jennifer. That's why they serve all the beer. It really is fun, and I highly recommend if you're in the vicinity to visit Germantown, Illinois, and their tiny little church picnic, because it is iconic in my life, and I so wish that I could go, because that's where I had visioned of a Timeout Tuesday happening, but I just don't think that I can swing it. I'm too nervous to miss Storm's birth. So that is super fun, and like I said, if you get a chance, please do go. It's wonderful to attend. Monica says Catholic churches know how to party. Do you know, Monica, that growing up that I didn't know that we were the only ones? I didn't really know that it wasn't really normal. Like the church picnic is something that everyone looked forward to. As a kid, you would get assigned a shift, like a working shift. So you would go work the soda stand or the funnel cake stand. And it was a time you looked forward to, because in the summertime, you may have hung out with just a few friends, but everybody from the country couldn't make it to town every day, and your parents certainly weren't driving you anywhere. So it's where you would see people that you hadn't connected with, because you would have a 2-hour working shift of working the soda stand or whatever. It was volunteer. And it was a really fun time. The other thing that you will find at the Germantown Church Picnic is ski, which is the soda that's made there in Clinton County, and and a poker stand, and there's usually a raffle. I'm trying to think here. If Jill or Lori is watching, isn't there a raffle like for a car or a Jeep, or is that at the Spas Fest? I'll wait here to see here. I'll keep watching. But anyway, it's a cash night. And it's a good time to have a draft beer. There's no canned beer or anything like that. It's all draft beer. And bingo that they put together. They build the bingo like stands every single year for this. And like all the benches that you sit on, and people volunteer their time to work that. And you have little slider cards that are kept in like the church's basement all year until bingo comes around. And it really is, it is something, it is a spectacle to see. And growing up, I thought it was 100% normal. And then after I started to like travel for work and like explore the world and understand the rest of the world, I realized very quickly that I I grew up in a bubble. I grew up in a very small town America that is not, there's no other place like it on earth. It's a wonderful place to raise children. It is a safe space. And it just was, it formed and molded me into who I am by far. People have wonderful work ethics there, a very strong sense of community. And you would love it if you saw it. I'll just say that. So that's Germantown, Illinois. And if you, hold on a second. Oh, they have an over under stand. So that's a betting stand. And then they started to add inflatables, which are like the blow up bouncy things for kids to be able to get on. It is not like a big carnival with rides or things like that. Like it is very small, and it's on the church parking lot. And most people don't drive there. If you live in town, you just walk to the church picnic. You don't drive because there's nowhere to park. It's that small, but it sure is a good time. So all of that. I'm looking to see if there's anything else I missed. Oh, a lot of you have experience with what I'm talking about, so that's really awesome. I'll see if Lori and Jill send me any snippets next week while they're there, because I know that neither one of them are missing out on that at all. Like it's you go like when you're there, you go. You don't miss those times. So how is Andy's foot? Lester has a video coming out tomorrow about Andy's foot, and I think you're gonna like the video a lot. So anyway, thank you again for being a part of my life and this live, and for giving me the space that I sort of stole on Sunday and letting me embrace some of these things. I'm so thrilled about Storm. I can't wait to bring you that whole journey and so many other things that are happening around here. We live in a world right now that is greatly divided, and everything in the media is driving everyone to division and anger and fear. And I implore you and I encourage you to find unity and to find your happy places, and to remove yourself whenever you feel the same thing that I felt on Sunday. Don't let anyone steal your joy and your peace and your time, because if you only get so much of it, and it is unfair to allow anyone to be able to do that to you. I love y'all so very much and am so grateful for you. And I hope that you have a safe week, that you stay well. And I just have to say thank you again for giving me the greatest gift of all, which is your time. Hopefully we get some really fun videos from the Germantown church picnic next week. Maybe I'll surprise y'all and be able to go. We'll see. Doubtful. But nonetheless, I love y'all so much. I hope you have a good night, and I will catch you on the next video.